Well, hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday. We appreciate you taking some of your Tuesday to spend some time with us. Today is the male preventive health episode of the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday, where we're going to deal with all of the preventive things that men should be taking into consideration and the tests that should be considered if you have a doctor that's going to help you prevent having any long-term serious issues. So in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness Muhammad is his messenger. I further bear witness there is no God but Master Father Muhammad, who is the God of this dispensation of time, who came in person, raised one from among us, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who authored that beautiful book, which is the foundation of everything that I talk about when it comes to health. And of course, didn't leave us alone, but left in our midst Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is guiding us and has guided us in such a wonderful way in these troubled times that we live in. And so in their names, I greet you in the words of peace. We say in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. It just means may peace be unto you. So again, thank you all for coming in. We're dealing with the male preventive measures that as men we should be taking in consideration. And sisters, don't worry, because you're going to get two shows. Okay, we're only going to do one for the men, but sisters, you're going to get two shows because there are some things that we're going to talk about when we talk about women's preventive health, but there's quite a bit to add to that, so we're gonna have to do two shows. So don't feel like you got slighted. Okay, Kimberly Paris, D Kiki, Darlene Paisley, Alita Champagne, Maxine Bland, Tyrone Muhammad, Janika Renee, and Wendell Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Thank you for coming in. So before I go any further, I first want to say, may Allah be pleased with our brother George Floyd. He was laid to rest here in Houston today. And I'd like to send my condolences, my prayers, and I'm sure everybody that's here would like to do the same to his family. And I would also like to give that same extension to Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Berry, and all of the other people that have lost their lives in ways that we wish they hadn't, but they did. And so, some of the names are more popular than the other, but, there was a young brother killed in Utah, I think last month. There was a sister that was thrown off the balcony in Canada. It's just so many. I was just watching something a few minutes ago where a young brother in Dallas lost his eye in a protest because they shot him with one of those rubber bullets. So we're in a very serious time. We're in a very dangerous time. We're in a time where we have to really think about what we're doing and how we're doing it and what is going to be the outcome. I don't belittle or down any of the young people for what they're doing. I support them. I pray for them. And at the end of the day, we know that as a people, we're going to have to unify, separate, and build our own nation. Otherwise, this is going to continue. It'll be another 4 or 5 years and then something else will just blow things up like this happened. But, mostly I just wanted to spend a little time giving some honor, some praise, some prayer, and some condolences to all the people that we lost and their families. May Allah guide you. May Allah comfort you, and may He bring you some peace. And we are for sure that none of your family members that are being murdered by these demonic people, they will not be forgotten, right? Their names are going to live on because we're not going to allow them to be forgotten. So as a show of care and concern for our brothers and sisters and their families, those of you who are on the show, if you'd like, put the names up of people that have lost their lives due to police brutality in your city, in your area, or names that you may know. We can go all the way back to Emmett Till. We can go back to people's names we don't know, people who have lost their lives just because we were blessed with this melanin. But this too, we shall overcome. So I just wanted to start there. I appreciate all of you who are in here. So we got Andrea Perkins, T. Farrow, Del Muhammad, Shirley X. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. So let's get into the show. April Muhammad, thank you for coming in. So let's get directly into the show. What we are discussing today is men's preventive health, right? This is something that's very important because take care of their health, right? What happened to my? No, don't tell me that. Okay. We don't have a tendency to spend enough time in our health. We say things like, I'm busy. I'm out here grinding. I gotta take care of my family, such. And we're just not spending the type of quality time that we need to looking at what does that look like in honesty when it comes to the long-term health of our families. If you are the breadwinner of your family and you are not taking the time to take care of your health, then what is eventually going to happen is that they're not going to be taken care of. Now, there are other ways, you can buy insurance and, you make enough money where they're taken care of from a physical perspective, but that's not what we're really talking about. We're really talking about having longevity and living so that we can continue to have the relationships that we have. I don't know any husbands or wives that want their husband or their wife to not take care of themselves and wind up dying, whether it's 10 years together, 20 years together, whatever it is. We want these people to be here is the point that I'm getting to. And so this doggone computer is going slow today. I just don't know why. But anyway, we're going to get to what is going on. I'm sorry, y'all. Something is going on. It's not working correctly. Here we are. So in essence, there are things that we should be taking in consideration when you are thinking about long-term health. There are things that we should be taking in consideration every day because there are certain risk factors that come with certain type of activities that we have. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So you all are going to have to take what I'm saying and you're going to have to put it in your own life. Okay. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is in this monumental book, How to Eat to Live, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that we could never be sick. And I don't believe I've ever read a book that said something like that. So when I consider that I could never be sick, then everything that I'm about to talk to you about today is not even relevant to a person who believes that. And I would say that a person who considers what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, eating one meal a day of the best of foods and fasting 2 or 3 days every month, at the end of the year, you will not have enough sickness in your body to make you sick 1 hour. If you eat one meal every other day, you may be sick every 3 to 4 years. If you eat one meal every 3 days, you will never be sick. Now, these are the things that he tells us on many of occasions in this book, right? And so my question to you all is, If that is how you're going to practice, and you have confidence in a man who's at the top of the book, it says from God in person, then you can't say that and not practice what he put in that book. If you're practicing what he puts in that book, then it will give you a lot of confidence. But that's some pretty serious confidence to say that I'm never going to be sick, right? Now, if we're honest, and let me not say if we're honest, I'm going to say if I'm honest, I do my best of practicing how to eat to live, but I do make my mistakes, and I do sometimes just mess up. And so if that's all of our reality, then what we have to do is look at things realistically, right? And if we look at things realistically, then we have to take in consideration the mistakes. And when we take in consideration the mistakes, then we have to take in consideration what do we need to do because of the mistakes, okay? So let's start with the heart. When you have a normal functioning heart, let's say in a 19 or 20-year-old, it's pumping, it's doing everything that it needs to do. These blood vessels, as you see here coming out of the heart, are pumping the blood into the body, right? Everywhere you see red, there's blood going to an organ or to a tissue, and blue, it's coming back from that tissue, right? And so most people should know, if you're listening to my programs, is that the number one killer in America, the number one killer in the world is heart attacks. But a heart attack doesn't happen by something ethereal or magical. A heart attack happens because we're eating the wrong type of foods. We're eating the type of foods that will cause clogging of an artery. Excuse me. So if you see right here where I have my pointer, you see these blood vessels that are on the heart. When your heart is pumping, boom, 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 one of the sounds that you hear is pushing the blood out. The other sound is bringing it back in. It's a sucking process. So it's pulling the blood flow back in, right? Now, boom, 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 boom. That small period of time in between those beats is when the blood flow is flowing in these vessels that are on the heart. And that's how the heart gets fed. When we eat bad foods, the vessels of the heart are not the only ones that are getting clogged. You're clogging vessels all over the body. But the problem is that when you clog the heart vessels, you're going to cause damage to the heart because it's not getting the nutrition in order for it to function correctly. So that's what's causing a heart attack, right? And so what are the things that people should take in consideration when we are talking about screening for a heart attack? Most people know you get a cholesterol test, right? If you have any type of pain or you have had cholesterol for a long period of time, you get pain in your chest with no other symptoms, they call it angina. If you have any of those type of problems, you may wind up with a stress test. You might wind up with what we call a angiogram, where they put the dye into your femoral vessel and it shows the vessels, and those vessels that I was just talking to you about, we can show and see whether or not they're clogged or not, right? And so a cholesterol test is the most common screening test for heart attacks, but there also are those other tests that I just mentioned that will other things that we can do that can tell us about what is going on in the heart, right? If you have angina, if you have chest pain, you go to the emergency room, what do we test? I'm not going to get into them, but we do these tests that show if the heart muscle is having some problems. And then, like anything else, right? If I was to cut myself right here, I would bleed. That shows the damage. Well, if I cut myself, there are also going to be some things that are being released under the skin in the body that says, I just got cut, I have a problem. And so it's the same thing in the heart. There are certain things that we leak into the blood flow that says my heart muscle is struggling. My heart muscle is dying. I'm having some damage to my heart muscle. And so what I'm saying is that these are the type of tests that can tell us that something is wrong with your heart. It's not just cholesterol, but cholesterol is typically what is going to be done by your doctor to talk about what your heart attack risks are. I'm having a lot of problems today, y'all. I apologize. My screens are not coming up and everything is working slow. I'm praying that I'm still moving live on here. Y'all let me know because everything is frozen on my end right now. I don't know what's causing this. But anyway, if y'all can, let me know if you still are hearing me live, seeing me live. Nothing is going on my screen. Well, let me keep going, doing a show until I can hear whether or not you all are still here with me. So, Tyrone Muhammad says, back on, Doc, lost you momentarily. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, y'all, but I don't want that to be up there. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep going. You all let me know if I'm still going live, but get back to these blood vessels. So anyway, again, there are things that we can do. There are things that can happen that can give us information on what is happening with the body. Cholesterol would just be one of those preventive tests where if your cholesterol is high, meaning the total cholesterol, the LDL and triglycerides are the ones we really are dealing with. I don't want to go into all those specifics because I want to just talk about a lot of preventive measurements, but the type of foods that are causing most of the heart attacks that we have in this country are meats and then your highly processed oils. So your hydrogenated oils. What the hell is going on with my screen, y'all? But it is tripping. Y'all let me know if I'm still on. You're in and out, but I can still hear and see fine. Okay. So I don't know what's going on. See if I can get back to my picture. Can y'all let me know if you can still hear me? Okay, Jay, you say I'm still on. So okay. I can't see nothing on my screen, y'all. So that's why I can't. I don't know what the hell is going on. Up on my screen, I can't see. Oh man. Being tested, y'all, being tested. Slow down. Take a deep breath and see. And that's not the picture I wanted either. Loud and clear, still hear you? Okay. Can y'all see my screen? Can y'all see these pictures that are coming up? That's the one I want right there. Yeah, you sure said it right, my brother. Patience and prayer. Well, if I can't get this one, then I'm gonna have to just move on and keep doing the show. How about that? Let me see. Yeah. What I was trying to do is show you all a picture of a blood vessel in the heart. That's not it. And show you what. And I've had them on my programs before, so some of you may know what I'm talking about. But a blood vessel that has some clog in it, right? So instead of the blood flow being able to go through a blood vessel that's supposed to have an opening like that, it may be cut in half. It may be a third of that blood flow not going in there. And so if there's a blood vessel on your heart that is clogged like that, that's what can produce a heart attack, right? The number one killer of everybody in this country as well as all over the world. So those are the type of things that we do. Of course, all the things that I talk about all the time, but a lot of that is occurring because of animal protein and then hydrogenated oils that are really causing a lot of problems with the body, causing irritation of those blood vessels. Okay. So let me know if I made sense with all this interruption. And doesn't make sense. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next body part, and let's go to the thyroid. So because of the, and so as you see here on this picture, I pray that you all can see this picture. The thyroid is important to all of the aspects. Oh, here we go again. All of the aspects of metabolism in the body. So I think it's still up there, right? So when your body is trying to get everything to work together and everything be in tune with each other, it's the thyroid that is very important in doing that, right? And you can have hyperthyroidism, meaning your thyroid is working too much, and you can have hypothyroid when your thyroid is working less. And so when you go to a doctor and they do just a typical TSH test, that will tell whether it's high or low. And then there are other tests that we can do to find out if that's specific. It's very important to make sure that you get your thyroid checked, because when we're eating, again, animal protein, a lot of meat, and you're eating a lot of processed foods, you can have a lot of effect on your thyroid gland. And the problem with the thyroid is that if it's high or low for long periods of time, some of the effects of it being that way can be permanent. I have literally had some patients in the past who have had their thyroid out of control for a long period of time, and those medical problems couldn't be reversed. You can have brain issues, you can have heart issues, you can have muscle issues, just so many different things. And so I think that's number 2 on that list. I saw somebody ask whether or not How to Eat to Live can reverse these things. I believe it can. I don't believe there's a medical problem that I see that I don't believe can be fixed with How to Eat to Live. Of course, it's going to take some time. And then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also said in some medical problems, it depends on how much damage is done. But even if you can't 100% solve the problem, you can definitely make some progress. Okay. Latasha Rose, thank you for coming in. Fitzroy Muhammad, if animals were raised in a more safer, conducive environment where there are none of these environmental issues, would it be safe to eat? No. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that we were made to be vegetarians. And so the reason why there are so many problems in this society is because we have such a high meat diet. Would raising animals in the type of environment that you just said be better? Of course, but they would still cause disease because it's just so hard for the human body to break down meat. Okay. Thank you, Donna Jones, for letting me know you can see that picture. Thank you. Okay. So I think I finished the thyroid. Let's move on to the next body system. I'm going to try to go, kind of down the body. So let me take a look at this. So there are, of course, associated with whether or not we've had some bad habits, right? That shouldn't be up there. I may have to come back and do this show, y'all. I apologize for all this being crazy like this, but what's up there is not supposed to be up there. So anyway, I was talking about, sometimes our habits can cause certain issues, and we have to get right. A person that smokes cigarettes and or has worked in the type of environments that have a lot of chemicals. Some of these steel workers, some of these coal workers in parts of the world, they have to get certain type of tests done on their lungs because those type of environments are very hard on the lungs. So if you smoke a lot in your life, you may have what we call abdominal aneurysm. And so you can see it here in a lot of these different pictures. Abdominal aneurysm, a blood vessel, of course, is supposed to be a certain diameter, right? And then when it's close to the heart, it's bigger. And when it goes farther away from the heart, it gets smaller and smaller, right? And so as you can see here in some of these pictures, you see where there are big bulges in the abdominal aorta, right here in this one. You see that big bulge right there. Here, you see it right under the kidneys. It can happen in a lot of different areas. And that typically is associated with the same type of risk factors that happens in people who have heart attacks. And so, the wall of the blood vessel may get weak, and so it starts to open up. It's not supposed to open up like these are. It's supposed to open up and close if blood flow needs to increase or decrease in that blood vessel. But when they start to bubble like a balloon or like a car inner tube or bicycle inner tube, where you get the bubbles in it, that's what an abdominal aneurysm is. And so people who have certain risk factors will need to be screened for that in their lifetime, because pretty much if you have an abdominal aneurysm and it pops, the chances of survival are very low. It's very close to 100% deaths when you have an abdominal aneurysm that actually explodes in the body, right? It's just so much blood flow lost in such a short period of time. It's very difficult to save these people. And plus, a lot of times there are very few signs that we have that they have it. And so sometimes it is when a person's blood vessel pops and they start bleeding inside and they show up to the emergency room or the hospital, and that's when we find out that they have it. And a lot of times it can be very difficult to save them or do anything about it. Teach on fasting and autophagy, brother. Maxine Bland says, talk about the bad habits over the years and how our beautiful black man can get back on track. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about that at the end. I want to kind of go through some more of these things, but that's a good point. I want to kind of cover these so that you all men, a lot of times your wives are the ones that look out for your health better than you, but we got to try to change that. That's why I'm going through this, because I want everybody to kind of understand how to think about your own reality. So let's go here, see if this picture comes up. That we have to always take in consideration is our colon, right? And so you see here, you have colitis, which is swelling of the colon, diverticulitis, which is infection of a diverticulosis, which is an outpouching. I just finished talking about kind of a bubble in a blood vessel. When you get a bubble in the colon, it's called diverticulosis. And when that diverticulosis gets infected, it's called diverticulitis. I'm sorry, diverticulitis, right? And then you see down here polyps. Polyps are little protrusions. Like this is the inside of the colon. When you're eating a lot of bread, potatoes, meat, foods that don't have a lot of fiber in them, you start getting friction on the inside of the colon, and you can start getting these little finger-like protrusions inside of the lumen of the colon, right? And so you see this down here at the bottom where it says polyps, and polyps can eventually grow and then get irritated and then start to change and become cancer. So when we actually do a colonoscopy or a flexible sigmoidoscopy and we go up in there and we look and we see polyps, most of the time we'll take them out. But that is a sign that a person potentially could eventually have cancer. And so a person who is eating these type of foods, the type of people that have these high meat diets, we've all seen these type of people, right? They sit down and eat 90% of the time is bread, potatoes, and meat. Your chances of having a good, clean colon is very low. And so what are the tests that we do for this? A lot of you may have had the one where you take a little stick and you dig down in your stool and you put it on there. You put the little drops to see if there's any blood in there. And then, like I mentioned, the flexible sigmoidoscopy or the colonoscopy to see what's going on inside of your colon. So those will be the screening tests for those. And of course, what's the solution? High fiber diet. So eating more vegetables, eating that bean soup, exercise, drinking enough water, things of that nature. Okay. So I pray that this is making sense. Still having problems with my computer, y'all. So, taking forever to switch to screens and all this kind of stuff. So, how do you maintain a healthy lymph system? That's an excellent question. Exercise, eating right, staying hydrated. That's the best way for lymph. Okay. What else do I have on here for y'all? Okay, so let's go to the kidneys. So just for your general physical every year, urinalysis, right? Urinalysis is checking for what? A lot of different things, but specifically when we're talking about the kidney, for some reason it's not coming up, we're looking for blood in the urine. Blood in the urine is a sign that something is going wrong because there shouldn't be blood in the urine on a normal basis. And so when we do a urinalysis and we're screening for the kidney, we're looking to make sure there's no blood in that urine, because most type of problems that occur in the kidney, whether it be a kidney stone, it could be cancer, it could be a tumor, it could be, something that's just not right with it. A lot of times we'll see blood in the urine. And a lot of times when we do those tests, you can't see it with your eye. But when we, of course, check it with those strips, we will see it. So that's why we do those type of urine tests when we're looking at the kidney. Okay, so I'm hoping this is making sense with all of this stuff going on today, y'all. And then, of course, while I'm down, and I must say to all Black men, oh, this is ridiculous. To all Black men, don't ever believe that any of the studies for any type of prostate issues has ever been done correctly. When it comes to the type of medical problems that are supposedly more in Black people, there isn't enough money put towards really trying to figure that out as truth or not. And so when doctors make statements about prostate being more in Black men and it's worse in Black men, it happens at younger ages, that's never been proven by any study, because none of the studies that were done on Black people were any good. They were all completely done wrong. And so their conclusions are really asinine. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't get your prostate checked, because if you're a high meat eater, and notice the signs that I keep saying, meat eater, a lot of processed foods, chips and sweets and all that kind of stuff is where most people get most of these medical problems with these organs, right? But when it comes to the prostate, it's a very difficult thing to test. That's why I was trying to bring a picture up to it, because it makes sense, I think, sometimes when we look at these pictures, why screening some of these medical problems can be difficult, like with the colon, right? You can go up there with you can go up in the colon. So that makes that screening test pretty good for a person that has the type of ability that does that well. Oh, I put up the prostate and the eye comes up, y'all. This is frustrating. I hope So anyway, maybe I just have to talk for the rest of the show. I apologize for the visual aids not coming in correctly. I'm going to have to redo this show, y'all. So I'm just going to try to spend the rest of the time talking about some of these screening things, and then we'll have to come back and do another show to try to get this right. Again, I apologize. This is not good at all. But anyway, so your prostate exam is difficult, of course, right? You have to, in order to feel it, you have to put your finger in a man's rectum, which most men don't like. You do a PSA test, which is very non-specific. You know, I've had patients who, one in particular, was riding his bike to work every day. PSA exam was high. I asked him, after we figured it out that may have been the cause, I asked him not to ride his bike to work every day. He drove his car, just did things that doesn't press up against his prostate, and his prostate PSA was normal. And so you have to really understand these things. And when you go get your PSA done, you can't let these people just throw you into the mirage of all this stuff that these doctors are going to do. If they send you to a urologist, they're very aggressive. They're going to want to do a biopsy. They're going to do some type of procedure because that's how they make their money. But you have to know these type of things. You have to know that if you drive on a regular basis, you sit for long periods of time. If you're a truck driver, you're bouncing on your prostate all day, and you go get a prostate exam after just getting out your truck, or you just got out your truck yesterday, it's probably going to be high, but it's not an accurate test. And so here you have these doctors making all these decisions on your life and your prostate with an abnormal test. And so that's why I'm having this today, because I want you all to be prepared not to go into these doctors' offices and to be mistreated, right? And so eye exams are very important, right? The reality is that when we look, whatever we see, the image that you see is really being projected to the back of your eye. And there's a section back there called a retina that really is like a screen, right? If some of you remember back when we projector screens, where you would have something, you know, turning and it's showing the picture, that picture would go onto a screen. That's what's happening into your eye. These visual images are going to the back of the eye. And there's a part of that retina that's called the fovea that is for very, very fine tuning of the vision. And so what happens is sometimes our eye will change its shape based on our bad habits or based on us, you know, doing things that are not healthy for the eye. And so when you get your eye screening, which you should do, is to show if your eye is starting to go out of shape, if it's starting to do one thing or the other. I know when I was small, I was told by a doctor, I think I was in 6th, 7th grade or something like that. He said that I had an astigmatism. If I wore glasses, that it would probably get fixed. I thought that only nerds wore glasses, so I wasn't going to wear any glasses. Anyway, long story short, that sometimes you can fix them when you're young. And so that's why we should have our children get their eyes examined. And as adults, we should get our eyes examined because there are some things that we can stop. There are some things that we can reverse. I personally wear glasses, and I read this book called Take Off Your Glasses and See. And 2020 was supposed to be the year I was supposed to try to implement that book and get rid of my glasses. It's been kind of a crazy year so far. I haven't done it yet, but that's still my plan, is to get rid of my glasses in a natural way. And one of the ways that they do that is to wear these glasses that have the dark, very dark lenses, but you got little holes in it, and it makes your eyes kind of strain and work to try to improve themselves. So eye exams, very important. Mouth exams, got to get your teeth checked. A lot of people, when you look at them and you see cavities in their teeth, or you see people that have a lot of missing teeth, that is a direct indication of their health. It's very important for people to understand that when you look in your eye and you see certain colors in the white part of your eye, and you look in your mouth and you have a lot of cavities, or you have, bad gums, or, certain odors in your mouth, all of those things are indicative of more serious and maybe even bigger problems that are going on. And so it's important to get the examination, not only for the obvious reasons, because you want to not have pain, you want to be able to chew your food well, but also because there are so many other ways that we can look into the eye and the mouth, and we can tell a lot of things, right? I think some of you have heard me say that when I look at people on a regular basis, all I really got to do is look in their eye and their ankle, and I can tell a lot about a person. I don't have to ask questions. I could tell them what's going on, and I'm going to be right most of the time. But if I could look in your eye, and I could look in your mouth, and I can look at your feet, and I can look at your fingernails, things like that, take a close look at your skin, take a look at your hair. These are all ways that we can use to give us indicators of what your health is like. And so that's why it's important for you not only to know how to take care of your health, but some of these things that I'm talking about, you can actually assess yourself. You have to be able to assess what is going on with you, right? Your gum health, your teeth health, your eye health, looking at the white part of your eye as often as you can. All of these things are ways that you can tell some things about your own health. And that's why I am discussing this with you today. And again, I apologize for things not working out the way they should be. So let me see what y'all are talking about. First of all, Maxine Bland says, talk about the bad habits. One of the statements that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes in How to Eat to Live, he said that if you start eating one meal every other day of the best of foods and fasting for 2 to 3 days out of each month, you will probably have your life extended to 140 years. I'm pretty sure that there may be nobody on this show that knows somebody or has had a family member live to 140. The oldest person I've ever known personally was my grandmother. She was 110 when she died. So he's giving us a guarantee of longer life. Now, not once in the book did he say at what age that you had to start. So point being that if you start trying to practice, get this book, read this book, and then sincerely try to apply it, you are going to extend your years. If you start at 90, will you make it to 140? I don't know. If you start at 20, will you make it to 140? I don't know. But what I do know is that if you're applying it, he gives a lot of guarantees. And so, my confidence is that I'm going to make it to 140 and a lot beyond. And so what am I saying? I smoked. I drank. I did a lot of things that aren't good for my body, but the way that I'm trying to practice now, I believe that most of that will be improved. The more we fast, the more you're undoing a lot of things. You are reversing the aging process. You are renewing and regenerating things in the body. You're producing more, what's that cell? Stem cells, which can grow and renew anything in the body. So let's have the confidence that, yes, by practicing how to eat to live, we can undo a lot of these things that we've done by eating meat and some of the bad habits that we have. You have to have that type of confidence when you get a book automatically, right, that says from God in person. We should automatically know that there's going to be some good things that'll come from that book. Olivette Hamilton, I think I answered your question about the lymph system. Let me know. Let me add something. I talked about good hydration. I talked about not eating meat, right? Things of that nature. But another good thing for the lymph system is exercise, and especially like jumping up and down type of exercise. It's very good for the lymph system. It helps move that system and keeps it getting all that waste out. Alita Champagne says, should we stay away from potatoes? Absolutely. Potatoes don't have a lot of nutritional value, a lot of sugar. And so that's why the Honorable Muhammad doesn't say, he says not to eat it unless you are in frigid zones. And Marie Muhammad says, Dr. Keely, I studied inflammation in the homeschool class today with my 2 grandsons, age 9 and 6. I have a medical A&P book. Well, great. Hey, y'all go back and check out my show that I did. I think it was last week. And let me know what you think. Rosalind Wright said, thanks, my brother. We understand. I pray that you're talking about this old crazy show today. Glad y'all understand if that's what you're talking about. Thank you for you all's patience and sticking with me. And whatever's going on, we're going to try to get this fixed so we can get back to some quality shows. I do not strive for perfection, my brothers and sisters. So this is really frustrating for me not to be able to do a show and be able for it to work right. So again, accept my apologies. Raymond Sharif says, how about drinking caffeine in relation to the prostate? Is that a good thing or not? Good question, my brother. I think you're going to put that on the table because I have never considered how caffeine is related to the prostate. So I can't speak ignorantly. I'm going to have to do some research. Okay. So come on back so I can answer that question for you. All the other older men I know with prostate issues were cabbies. Yeah. So it's a possibility that if they were cabbies, their tests were abnormal because they were around, jumping around, going around in that car, and they may have not even had accurate tests. And so these people did tests on them or did procedures on them, took out their prostates or did biopsies, whatever, and they may have had problems from the procedure rather than truly a problem with their prostate. That's reality. I mean, we have been really mistreated by not just the police, but this medical industry has really mistreated Black people horrendously. So sad reality. Raymond Sharif, how about your hearing? Can a damaged nerve be repaired holistically? Yes, I have actually seen people with very strict programs improve hearing. And I mean, their hearing was pretty bad. We use some herbs to help, promote healing of nerves. But I've seen some people do some wonderful things with hearing. That was a few years ago. I haven't had anybody recently. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis through an eye exam. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because we can see a lot. When we look into your eye, when you look in the mirror, you see the little black dot in the middle of your eye called the pupil. That thing opens up, right? So if it's dark, when it's dark, it opens real big because you're trying to get as much light in so you can see. So when you're walking around at night and you can't really see and you're feeling around, and sometimes you know where you're going because it's your house and it's normal and things become normal because you walk around there all the time. But also what we do is when we're doing that little exam, we're looking through that into the back of the eye, and we can see a lot of things. We can see things that happen from diabetes, from autoimmune disorders. We can see a lot of different stuff. The eye is the window to the soul. That's something that I could definitely say that I understand where that statement comes from. T. Farrell says the white parts of my eyes ain't been white for a long time. Yeah. T. Farrell, my brother, that's a sign that there are some things going on in your body. The white of the eye is a very important aspect of how we can determine what's happening, right? A lot of you know it as called iridology, right? That's just somebody putting a particular name on it. Iris. Iridology means the irisology, study of the iris. That's the color part. The color part tells you some things, but the white part tells you some things. And looking inside of it tells you some things. So we can tell a lot by the eye. That's why it's important for you to have an eye exam because it can tell you so much. And again, as I just finished saying, it's important for you to look at yourself. If you have brown spots in the white part of your eye, that's significant. And I'm not talking about like, a boxer or a person sneezed real hard or had some type of physical something happen and you got a little blood spot there. I'm talking about people who have dark spots in their eye. One of the most famous people that I know of that looks like that is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had some really dark things in his eye. That's significant of disease processes. That's significant of things not working well in the body. And so that definitely is something that you have to look into. And then you got to get into a process of starting to try to improve the things that you know you're not doing right and see what type of improvements you'll get. Fasting spikes stem cell production. They discovered that in the 90s with the Biosphere 2 project. Straight regeneration. Absolutely. The longer we fast, the more regeneration we do. That's actual facts right there, my brother. Oh, what happened to my thing again? Hold on a second. I'm trying to get to y'all questions so we can end this with answering your questions. Walaikum salam. Sarah Jean Barkley. Solomon Tafar says, what are your thoughts on sunflower seeds? How are they different from nuts? Well, I consider pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, seeds, because they are different than nuts. From my research and my personal experience with them, you can see that they are digestible. Now, what do I mean by that? When I talk about nuts, I talk about taking your favorite nut, putting them in your mouth, chewing them, looking in the mirror before you swallow, and then look in your stool and you see them come out. When you eat nuts, you can see some, but you don't see near as much. And you can see a difference with what you swallow and what comes out of your stool. And in addition, I, in my research, have not found that there are a lot of anti-nutrients in pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. So those are the things that I use to justify why I eat both of those, pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, my brother. So good question. Anne Marie says, I made my unity fast this weekend. The first day I thought I was going to pass out. Fast is good for the soul. Yeah, well, thank you for joining the fast, my sister. We really appreciate that. Once you do it once, you just got to keep on going, you know. And that first day is usually toughest for everybody. I'd like to know why you thought you almost passed out. Was it that you weren't hydrated enough? Did you not drink enough water, or were you very active? Were you in the heat? Tell us a little something about why you think that happened. Fitzroy Muhammad says, I've heard it said that magnesium is very good for the heart and it helps in repairing damage to the heart at the end of along with things like CMOS maca powder. Yeah, well, I don't get into a lot of those products, but I think that is part of the misunderstanding and the miscommunication and the kind of the economic driven system of the alternative and so-called holistic area too, because taking magnesium would be foolish, in my personal opinion. I'm not trying to put anybody down that's doing that, but the body doesn't use magnesium by itself. There's no food that has magnesium by itself, and magnesium doesn't work by itself. Every time magnesium moves in the body, calcium moves. So that's the way the body moves. That's the way the body works. That's the way food is. It works in associations. If you eat something that has magnesium, it's probably going to have selenium and salt and potassium and calcium and all kind of other things. And so that's what you want to do. You want to concentrate on food like that beautiful book talks about, because you want things to come into the body in patterns, in associations. And then when you get that nutrition in the body in a good way, and you do fasting like my brother just finished talking about, there's nothing that's going to go wrong with the body. I'm 1000% sure of that because of how I've seen things improve, and I know how my body works. T. Farrell, Medical Apartheid. That's right. Everybody needs to read that book. The minister told us to read that book years ago. That's one heaven of a book, and that sister has one heaven of a vocabulary. So make sure you get your dictionary, and also when you read that book, you might want to get a box of tissue too, because it's painful to read that book. Damon X. John says, if that's the case, men who do Uber need to be advised. Absolutely. There's no man that is listening to this, and no sister that's listening to this who has a husband who is going to suggest that he go get checked should ever have anybody doing any type of driving job, anybody that's doing any type of exercise where they're sitting on something, sitting on a bike seat, sitting on anything that may cause pressure up on the area that we call the perineum, which is behind your testicles and before your anus. If you do anything where there's any type of pressure, if you do anything where you sit for long periods of time and you're bouncing around like this, you should never go from that type of activity and go get a prostate exam. You're going to wind up in somebody's office, wind up in some urologist's office, and they're probably going to be doing some type of something on you that doesn't necessarily need to be done because they haven't taken the time to really sit and ask you the right questions. So you make sure you keep yourself in control, like we talked about before, right? Everybody has to be in control of yourself. You never go to a doctor's office and give your control up. That's not what you should do. Stay in control. You're the one that pays. You are the center of attention. That doctor is there to serve you, not otherwise. So go in there with the knowledge of yourself, the confidence of yourself, and stay in control. If somebody tries to take your control away, it's time to get up and move or handle it in whatever way that you feel like you should. Gregory Mitchell, thank you for coming in. What are your thoughts on beetroot juice for heart health? Again, beets are very good for the body. Beets have to be cooked. When you cook a beet, it dries to a certain degree. So most people do not juice beets that are cooked. They juice beets that are raw. And if you're doing raw beets, there's a lot of anti-nutrients. So you're probably not getting the nutrients out of it that you think you should. And so I really don't do a lot of, don't suggest a lot of beet juice because of that perspective. What are your thoughts on reflexology, legit or not? Yeah, I think reflexology is actually very legit because it's basically listening to the communication of the body, right? The body is always talking to us. And so if there are things that we can do to go to the body and have the body explain things to us, or we figure out a better way to listen to the body, I think that's wonderful. I think the problem is in a lot of aspects, it's people who have gone and gotten education like me, right? We come out of these schools and we think that reflexology and Reiki therapy, acupuncture and massage and chiropractor, we think all that stuff is garbage. That's actually what I used to think for a number of years until I started really listening to my patients and they were telling me some of the benefits that they were getting from these things. And I had to just get rid of that ego, peel back all of that arrogance and start to do my own research. And that's why you have the brother that you have today. So yes, I think reflexology is actually wonderful, brother. Would you be able to do a virtual screening? No, I wouldn't be able to do a virtual screening because I think when you screen somebody, that shouldn't be done virtual. When you screen somebody, that should be done person to person. Okay. So that's very important because in order to give a person the type of information for them to be sure of what their body is telling them. You can sometimes do that with a blood test. You can sometimes do that by looking at certain things. But whenever I do a screening on somebody, I want to be right there with you, looking at you face to face, putting my hands on you, looking at things. I might need to get all up in your face. You know what I'm saying? Looking at things real close. That's what it takes to really have the confidence that you're giving this person the right information and not giving them what you think. It should be more than just what you think. Let me know if I answered your question. Brother, you just took the words out of my mouth about colonoscopy. Are they beneficial or would you just recommend long-term fasting? Excellent question, my brother. Let me say this to every single one of you. You can't take the confidence that you hear in me. You can't take the confidence that I apply to myself without putting in the work that I put in. I want to be very clear. You are going to have the confidence level that you should have. So if you're the type of person that's eating a lot of meat, you don't drink enough water, you don't exercise on a regular basis, you don't eat bean soup, you don't fast, you shouldn't consider yourself having good health if you're not following this book and doing a lot of things correctly. And so I'm not going to get a colonoscopy because I think that my diet is so high in fiber, I don't have to worry about any of those things. I've had 3 bouts of constipation in my lifetime. And every time that I've had it, it was going on these binge foolish eatings of potato chips and pizza and meat and all that kind of, chicken wings and all that kind of stuff for many, many days. And then once I realized, oh, damn, man, I can't go to the bathroom. Then I get off of that madness and get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. What's my point? Everybody has to listen to the communication that your body is telling you. My body communicates to me. Your body communicates to you. What are you doing to listen to that communication? See, if you're not doing the things that it takes to follow this man, and I don't mean following him make that correct. I don't mean talking about following him. I'm talking about the activity of following. If you're doing the activity of following him, then you can trust what he says. But if we're reading this book and not applying it, if we're saying that we're following how to live, but doing a whole lot of other stuff, which has been my experience, that a lot of times people say, I'm following how to live. And once I finish meeting with them, like, no, you are way off. And so we have to be honest with ourselves. If you're doing enough things right, then you should have the confidence in what that book tells you, that you will never be sick. But if you're eating a lot of chips, if you're doing a lot of emotional eating, if you're eating a lot of things that he says don't eat, if you're doing a lot of things that are habitual from your familial traits, then you're not the type of person that should be trying to skip these tests. You should get these tests so that you can have a realistic evaluation of what's going on with you. I hope that makes sense. I hope I answered your question, my brother. Janelle Lyde Green says, I have to get a cardiac catheterization. It's something I need to worry about because it's driving me crazy. Yeah, you're going to have to reach out to me for that, bro, because I really have to know why you're doing a cardiac catheterization, what, kind of test they've done and what the tests look like. So reach out to me. Actually, let me put my information up here. So just in case anybody needs to reach out to me, the information is there. Okay. What happened? Okay. Do you produce a daily meal plan? Do I produce a daily meal plan? No, I don't produce a daily meal plan. But what I do is help people understand, when we sit down and we have a consultation, what I will do is give people the type of information that helps them pick the right foods to make a meal plan based on this book, the right foods to help you solve the problems and get the type of nutrition that will help you get where you need to go. Okay. What program one can do to increase one male testosterone? Got to reach out to me on that, bro, because that's a very specific, because there are a lot of things that could potentially decrease your testosterone and your other male hormones. And there are a lot of different reasons. So we would have to do a consultation to figure that out. Tony Muhammad, the minister instructed us not to eat sunflower seeds. I've never heard of that before, but okay. Let me know when, where, and where can I get that information if you don't mind. I've been curious about pignogenol maritime pine bark. Is that something that is good for the body? I've had experience with treating my asthma with it, and it proved absolutely amazing results for 2 years straight. I could take working at extreme dusty areas where it would have normal triggered an attack. What does How to Eat to Live say regarding like this? The How to Eat to Live doesn't mention that at all, but I am in the process of doing some research about that because somebody mentioned that to me before, and I would have to say, as I sit here in front of you right now, I am ignorant to that substance, but I won't be for long. How about that? Thank you for the question, my brother. I appreciate that. Putting that back on my mind. Anne-Marie, I had not participated in a unity fast since December. I try to practice one meal a day. That is what happens when you take the truth for granted. Very, very, very important point, sister, as is true. When we read the Bible or the Quran, it talks about, these messengers that come and they give these messages. Noah did it for 150 years, right? And when that consequence comes, that consequence sometimes is very difficult. So yes, please, sister, keep coming back, keep fasting with us, keep coming back and getting this love, this unity, whatever we got to do to help support you. Okay. Because I really want you to continue to go in the right direction and don't fall back into that rut that you were in before. If there's anything that I can do personally to help you, let me know. Khalif Muhammad. So dehydrated beets are a no-go, correct? It depends. I mean, if they're cooked before, no, they're not bad. If they're raw, then absolutely. T. Farrell, is it possible that Lance Armstrong developed testicular cancer from a combination of Tour de France training and performing enhancing drugs, or one over the other? I'm not really sure, bro. I really don't know, bro. I haven't looked into anything about him specifics, so all I would be doing is speculation. I couldn't say. Terrell X, thanks for coming in, bro. Thank you, my brother. Kanar Young says, I just got in. I'm ready to see this feed from the beginning. Well, you might not want to do that, my brother. It was a bad show today, bro. I'm very embarrassed because there's a lot of disconnection. My computer was having some trouble. It might be working now, but at the beginning it wasn't. I don't know what's going on. So I'm probably gonna have to come back and do this show again because I'm sure I'm gonna be angry when I go back and watch this again because I try to come and give you all the best of me and try to do the best I can. When things happen like it is today, I'm gonna be sick all week. I'm gonna be on fire next Tuesday. Y'all come on back and listen to that sister show. Or maybe I have to start all over again next week and do the brother show again. I don't know. Y'all give me some votes and let me know what you think. Should I do the brother show over or should I go with the sister and come back to the brothers? I know what the sister's going to say. Can you send me your information, please? It's on the bottom. It's scrolling right now at the bottom of the screen. That was me that mentioned it before, brother. I would truly appreciate it. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you for the reminder, brother Raymond Sharif. I'm gonna get to it, my brother. I got a lot going on, but I'm gonna have an answer for you. T Fair is scrolling under his image. Yes, sir. Khalila Muhammad. Oh, what happened to your? According to the assessment tool of iridology, the red veins in the white part of the eye may indicate a possibility of vascular issues. Yeah, that is true. And in addition, I'm also talking about like the big brown marks. Some people have these big brown spots or marks in the white part of the eye too. That's a little more significant pathological problems. Tony Mines, he stated it at Mouse Marion about 10 years ago. Sunflower seeds are too hard and you were better off eating a softer nut like cashews. If I remember correctly, I think he said cashews. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, my brother. I have to try to get that information. All right, y'all. So that's the show for today. Again, I'm very apologetic because, again, I have a standard that I set for myself. I have a standard that I live by when I come and do these shows. I never want to do a show that doesn't represent how I represent. So I apologize you all for all the technical difficulties that happened in the beginning. Again, like I said, I'll have to figure this out, come back and do it again. But sometimes things happen and we got to fight our ways through. So I thank Allah for blessing me to make it through the show. I'm going to be itching till next Tuesday, but I thank you all, those of you that came, those of you that stayed. I pray that you got some news that you can use. I pray that you got some information to make you more confident as you try to manage this medical industry and manage our way back to that book so that we can maybe not need it as bad. But again, thank you all for coming in. I thank you for the regular supporters for continuing to support the Ultimate Wellness Group. I pray that you continue to work hard. Of course, in a society like we live in, it takes hard work to have good health. All of you that are giving me compliments, those that are reaching out to me, the compliments, they're good. I love them. I appreciate them. That's not why I do what I do. But you all are definitely giving me a lot of good words, a lot of good support, and I really appreciate that. I pray that everybody is growing in your knowledge, but more importantly, growing in the diligence and the activity to improve your health so that we could stop the murder. I don't really know any Black people that aren't upset. I had a conversation with my mother today, and she was talking about how upset this George Floyd thing has made her when she sees it on television. And the reality is that we all should be upset and angry about this reality. It's happened way too much and it continues to happen. And we should have been proven to by now that we can't trust these people. But at the end of the day, the medical industry is killing many more people than police. And so that's why I do what I do, to empower you to have the type of information where you could live without being diseased and not having the problems and the issues that would take you and have you put your life into somebody's hands that doesn't take care of you like I'm trying to show that I would do if you were to come put your life in my hands. So again, thank you very much. And again, I apologize for what I consider a terrible show. But again, if there's anything that you can gain from it that you can use, I'm thankful to Allah for that. And so I pray that I'll see you all next week where we will get these technical difficulties in check and we'll have another great show for you. So until then, have a wonderful week and take care of yourself. Peace.